and happy Halloween. So first of all, I just want to thank each and every person who has subscribed or watched any of my videos during the past 31 days of Halloween. It has been such a blast and I've had a lot of fun doing it. But today, unfortunately, is the last day. But I wanted to wish you guys a happy Halloween by giving you 5 horror anthologies that you guys can watch tonight for Halloween. So let's get started. These are in no particular order, and these are just 5 anthology series, 4 of which you can find on different streaming services, so I'll tell you where. But the first one that I want to recommend is the Books of Blood. I talked about this a little on my previous video, but I just wanted to go a little bit more in depth with you. So this is a movie derived from the Books of Blood series by Clive Barker, written in the 80s. This is, I guess I wouldn't really call this an anthology because although they are 3 separate stories, they definitely bleed into each other. Bleed, get it? Blood, Halloween. Anyways, but there's 3 different stories and they do connect, so I guess it's not technically an anthology, but it's okay. Let's just go with it. So for the first story, we have a man that's on a mission to find this book of blood. He's told by a man that he's about to kill where the location of the book of blood is. He kills the man and then the man dies with a huge smile on his face, suggesting it's more than we expect it is, which it is. And then the next story is about a girl running from her past. We find that something tragic has happened to a boy that perhaps she was dating. She ends up leaving her home and running away and finding an inn to stay in. And the family is seemingly nice. However, she suffers from some hallucinations. She's not taking medication. And so she's kind of trying to figure out if the things that she's seeing are her hallucinations or if the family isn't quite what they seem to be. And then our third story, we have a man that is, he alleges that he can communicate with ghosts, so he finds people who have had their loved ones pass away and communicates with them and then delivers a message. And those are the 3 stories. I don't want to give too much away here because it is a new movie and I don't think a lot is given away in the trailer, and I don't know why everyone hates this movie. It has really bad reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but I loved it. Like, I really was impressed by it. So if you guys watch this one, definitely let me know what you think, because I was very surprised when I saw like a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, 19% on Rotten Tomatoes, 36% audience score. I was blown away. I was like, wait, this was really good. Why do you guys hate this? So please explain it to me. I also haven't read the Clive Barker book, so maybe that plays into it. I'm not sure. But next up, now we're going all the way back to the 1970s, my friends, with The House That Dripped Blood. So this was actually written by Robert Bloch, the writer of Psycho, so that gives you a little bit of context as to what we're dealing with, you know, a master of horror. Well, first we have a detective that's investigating an actor that has gone missing. So he's learning about different things connected to this one house that all of them have stayed at, which is where the actor was living as well. And we learn each story separately. So the first one, there's a horror writer who becomes obsessed with this new character that he's writing about, Dominique, I think his name is. And then he starts actively seeing him on the property in the house. He's trying to decide if he's losing his mind, like if he's going too hard into his work and, you know, his imagination's running wild, or if there actually is a man on the loose whom he's writing about in his story. So that's the first story. It's fucked up and it's fun and there are twist after twist after twist. It's a fun one for sure. And then the next one, we have I think he's a stockbroker, and he moves into the mansion. What the heck did I write? Is missing oh yes, okay. Okay, so he's missing this woman who has died. He carries around a picture of her, and he finds this wax museum and he finds this one wax figure who looks just like the girl that he's obsessed with. Well, him and his friend ends up finding the same wax figure, and they both keep going back to it, like they're being called to it. The man who runs the shop says that he's created wax figures for either murderers or people who have been murdered, and then he goes back to find his friend actually having been turned into a mannequin, being killed, and put on display. And then the rest unfurls from there. I don't want to give too much away because I definitely want you guys to be excited if you do decide to watch these. The next story, we have a man who moves in with his daughter. Now, she's afraid of fire and she's a bit eccentric. No, she's creepy as fuck. So she's creepy and he doesn't let her play with dolls. He doesn't let her play with friends. He's kind of scared for her, or from her. Scared of her. Oh my gosh. What preposition? and he invites a woman to come over to like teach her, to school her. The woman finds that she's like reading about witchcraft and shit, and she's super creepy, and the ending's really creepy, and it's a fun story. But again, I don't want to give the full details of it away in case you do decide to watch this. The next one is the actor. So we circle back around to the actor. So the actor is unhappy with this new picture that he's working on. He's supposed to be portraying a vampire, and the woman describes him as, his heart is pure gothic. And I just love that, because my heart is pure gothic, and your heart is probably pure gothic too if you're watching this. So that was like my favorite line in this movie. So he finds this sinister vampire costume, and it doesn't take him long to figure out that the man who sold it to him is actually a vampire. And since he passed on his cloak, he was able to die. He puts it on, he can't see himself, so he feels like he's turning into a vampire, and then things unravel from there. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but I'm just giving you little snippets of each. At the very end, we find that the house, and this is a direct quote from the movie, it reflects the personality of whoever lives in it and treats them accordingly. So it is the house that, yes, does make them do awful things. However, there's a bit of that already in themselves. It just kind of brings it out. Such a fun movie. I really, really suggest it. It's a good one. The next one is 1993 Body Bags. Now this one's awesome because it is written by John Carpenter and Tobe Hooper. However, John Carpenter is actually in the film too, which is fantastic. So he plays a coroner in the morgue. So he takes you from body to body while he's like taking shots of formaldehyde and telling you what happened to each. It is such an amazing premise for a film. The practical effects are fantastic. The stories are fine, like they're fine, you know, but I really enjoy like the John Carpenter parts. Those are my personal favorites. So the first one is called The Gas Station. We find that there's a killer on the loose, and a woman starts a job at a gas station, and she does come in contact with the killer. Will she live? Will she die? Watch and find out. Oh, this one also has Wes Craven in it, which is fantastic, and also Sam Raimi, but he's a little in it. I don't want to give it away. He's in it, but he's not. But yeah, Wes Craven actually has lines in it, and I saw it and I'm like, that's Wes Craven! Oh, also they make a reference to Halloween too. Next up, we have this one's called Hair. It's a man who's going bald, and he's like very self-conscious about his appearance, so he decides to get a hair transplant. But the hair transplant makes him very ill, and it starts growing all over his face, it starts growing out of his throat, it starts growing out of his eyes. It's pretty gnarly. And when he cuts it off, they like start like living things. So that's all I'll say for that one. And then the last one is called I, and this one is a baseball player who gets into a car accident and actually loses an eye, but he, realizes that that's his life, that's his career. So there's a man who offers him an eye transplant. He takes it, and after the eye transplant, he starts seeing these like really intense bloody visions, and he starts behaving oddly, and then he finds out where the eye came from, and madness ensues from there. The best part of this for sure is the last scene. It's the best scene with the coroner. It's fantastic. It's like a fun little twist at the end, and the coroner brings a lot of humor to it as well. So fantastic movie. The next one I want to talk about is The Monsters Club. So this one's awesome because Vincent Price is actually like the narrator between, and if you guys have watched a few of my videos, you probably know I love Vincent Price. In fact, hey, look at that, he's right here. He was a big part of my childhood because he was in the Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare video that I watch all the time, and I love him so much. So he's actually a vampire in this, and he bites an author, and he sucks his blood, but he doesn't turn him into a vampire, and he's like, hey, thanks for feeding me. Do you want to come to this Monsters Club with me? And the guy's like, I mean, you didn't kill me, so okay. So they go to the Monsters Club, and then through their experience at the club, we hear 3 different stories. Bands play songs between the stories. It's very odd, but it's also really fun too. So first we have Vincent Price explaining the genealogy of monsters, and he talks of one particular monster that kills with a whistle, and we are taken into the story from there. I can't remember what the specific monster's name is, but it's like a combination of a few monsters. And the story itself is about a couple who wants to just like rob anybody they can. So the boyfriend has the girlfriend get a job at this kind of like castle thing to help this man catalog a bunch of expensive things. He ends up being the monster, however, proposes to her, she accepts just so she can steal what is his, and he may or may not whistle, and it may or may not start things on fire, and it may or may not be a really fun segment. And then the next one is, this one's pretty simple. It's a kid who's picked on at school. His father's a vampire, and the vampire hunters are actually using the son to try to get to the father. That one's a pretty simple one. Between these last two segments, there's a stripper, and she like turns into a cartoon and then starts stripping off her skin. It's really funny. And then the last one, we see a man, he's shooting a horror movie and he's trying to find the locations to shoot it. The director's not happy with the locations, he wants something creepier. So he goes to this like really isolated town and he finds these like creepy ass people that are ghouls, they're grave robbers, they eat the people, they like pull people out of the graves and eat them and like steal their clothes. He tries to get away, does he not? Watch it to find out. And it ends with the vampire explaining that why, because he takes, like I said, the writer to the Monsters Club, and so he tries to get the writer like into the club, and all the monsters are like, no, he's a human. And then it goes on to Vincent Price explaining why humans are the worst monsters of all, like how badly we treat each other and how vile we are, and everyone's like, oh, I didn't realize humans were so bad, awesome, and then they let him in. It's a really fun, silly movie, but yeah, I just wanted to recommend that to you. And then last up, we have 1982's Creepshow. This, of course, was directed by George A. Romero, written by Stephen King, and Stephen King also stars in one of the segments. So the first segment we have is Father's Day. This is about a father who comes back from the grave to seek his vengeance on the family because he never got his cake. This one we have the lonesome death of Jordy Verrill. This is where Stephen King stars. He is Jordy Verrill. So an asteroid comes down and lands on his property. It starts kind of infecting the land with this like mossy, alien-esque stuff, and then it comes and it slowly starts growing on him as well, inside his house, on all his things. It's a great one too. Next up, we have Something to Tide You Over. So this is about a man who buries people in the sand, and he kind of watches from his house while the tides wash up on them and kill them slowly. And it goes to one of the people that he kills comes back to try to seek its vengeance. Next up, we have The Crate. This is where a janitor finds a crate under the stairs from, I think it's like an Antarctic expedition. He keeps bringing people to the crate and they keep getting killed. And one of the people that he brings wants to kill his wife. So he's like, come on, why don't you come see what's in this crate? And then you find out what's in the crate. And then the last one is They Are Creeping Up on You. This is about a man who's kind of a germaphobe and scared of roaches. He finds that his house has become infected by roaches and rolling blackout, so he can't get people there to fix it. It goes on from there. Those are my 5 that I suggest, but these are just fun, awesome films to watch on Halloween. They're creepy, silly, campy, awesome. Super awesome practical effects, amazing icons and horror in each one. So I hope you guys enjoy these as much as I do. Leave me a comment, let me know which one your favorite is, or if you have a different anthology that you recommend, leave it down below. Okay, that is it. Halloween is over. I hope you guys had a great October. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon with another horror video. Bye guys, happy Halloween.